Welcome, seekers of hidden knowledge, to the mystical realm of the occult. Delve into the secrets of the universe as we journey together into the enigmatic world of ancient wisdom. Brought to you by your guide through the shadows of enlightenment, Wisdom Rocker. Uncover the mysteries, unlock the power, and journey with us as we explore the hidden depths within the pages of forgotten scrolls and ancient texts. Prepare to embark on a journey beyond the ordinary, where wisdom transcends time and knowledge is your greatest ally. Welcome to Wisdom Rocker. Prepare to awaken your inner sage. In this video, we will be uncovering the wisdom within the chapters of
The Theosophical Seal, a study for the student and the non-student, by Arthur M. Coon, with an introduction by James S. Perkins. This book is dedicated to all searchers for wisdom. 1958. Book 5. The Interlaced Triangles. Chapter 29. Sixes and Sevens. For in the 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested on the seventh day, wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and hallowed it. Exodus 20:11. It will be recalled that in an earlier study on the interlaced triangles we likened this symbol to a symphony of ideas. It is fitting that in this concluding study, the several strains or themes which make up that symphony be brought together in a grand finale united into a single concept. To accomplish this, we shall briefly bring again into focus some of the thoughts previously considered. In this final study, we may discover that one predominant truth which lies buried within the very heart of this symbol. We have analyzed its structure and the meaning of its parts, but so far have only prepared the way for the discovery of its innermost secret. Somewhere or sometime in the vast infinitude of absoluteness there must appear the point or center from which all manifestation springs. The point is therefore the ultimate source of all being. It is the opposite pole of non-being, for in it all being is concentrated. Mathematically, the point has no position or existence unless circumscribed by the circle. Together they constitute the alpha and omega, the beginning and the end of being in manifestation. Most potent of symbols, the point represents the eternal Father, for out of it all things must ultimately be resolved. On the human level, it is the sign of man's innermost spirit, the supreme Atma. Numerically, it is the number one, whose nature is unity and whose power is will. The first creative act is motion. The point in motion produces the line. The line, cleaving the circle, produces duality. The point becomes polarized, the one becomes two, and we find everywhere duality in manifestation, spirit, matter, life form, male, female, etc. It is the sign of the second aspect of God, whose nature is sacrifice and whose power is love. But duality cannot exist alone. Polarity begets a relationship. In every duality, life form, matter, energy, etc., there enters a third factor, which is consciousness or law. The line becomes a triangle, two becomes three in the eternal balancing of the opposite poles of manifestation. The triangle and the number 3 are ever the symbol of divinity in manifestation, whether in the universe or in man. Its characteristic is understanding. The square with its 4 sides or the cross with its 4 segments is universally the symbol of nature and of the physical universe, 4 cardinal points, 4 seasons, 4 elements, etc. It is likewise the sign of man in the sense that he is a personality. As a human being, he consists of 4 bodies: physical, etheric, astral, and lower mental, operating upon the 4 corresponding planes of nature. As the divine life is limited or imprisoned within these lower vehicles, the cross signifies sorrow and sacrifice. If a man stands with feet spread apart and arms extended, he forms the figure of a 5-pointed star, a figure which represents humanity's present place in evolution. For the star with its 5 points is both the sign and number of the 5th or Aryan root race. It represents the age of scientific achievement in which the mental faculties are developed. Counting from the lowest human level, 5 is the number of manas, the principle of abstract thinking. While the star is the measure of man's intellectual and spiritual growth, it is also the symbol of his hopes and aspirations, beckoning him onward to higher attainment. For ages it has been the seal over the door of his initiation into the order of the spiritual brotherhood and the sign of his acceptance. If the number 5 is the signature of humanity's present state, the number 6 is the sign of tomorrow's stage of development. Its influence awakens man to the realization of his own incompleteness. He has long felt that the development of his mind was the aim and end of his existence. He now comes to the realization that the mind is but an instrument for the attainment of a higher state of consciousness. He is troubled with a sense of unrest and a persistent yearning for something, which he feels to be beyond his reason but is yet attainable. The fundamental power of this number, as expressed through the interlaced triangles, is this urge towards perfection. It represents man's ceaseless struggles to attain a goal. It is the sign of his trials, his testings, and his labors. For 6 days God labored. We recall the 12 labors of Hercules. This famous hero is the symbol of every aspirant to the higher life. His 12 2x6 labors are the testings of the candidate's strength and the proof of his worthiness. This combination of the double six appears many times throughout the Bible, as it does in legend, barely concealing its allusion to the neophyte or the disciple. The 12 knights of King Arthur, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 disciples of Jesus stand out, amongst many others, as examples of the universality of this symbol. If one should speculate upon the purely mathematical aspect of this number, he cannot help but sense a significance in the part it plays as a gauge or measure in nature. Every circle is measured by 10x62 or 360 degrees. The solar year is divided into 12 months. The day into 2x12 hours, the hour into 60 minutes, and the minute into 60 seconds. The sidereal year is measured by 12 signs of the celestial zodiac. And if he will consider one of the unexplained mysteries of nature, he must wonder why or how she always makes her crystals of snow in the form of 6-pointed stars or crosses with exactly 6 or multiples of 6 arms, countless billions of tiny symbols of man's aspiration towards perfection and his eternal faith in his divine nature. H.P. Blavatsky, in The Secret Doctrine, Volume 2, page 629 writes, "The stellate crystals of snow, viewed under a microscope, are all and each of them a double or a treble 6-pointed star, with the central nucleus like a miniature star within the larger one. The interlaced triangles form the figure of a 6-pointed star, and if the intersections of its lines be added to its points, their total is 12. Footnote: if we find that the number 6 is incomplete until it becomes 7, so we shall find the number 12 incomplete until it becomes 13, for within the circle of manifestation represented by the circle with its 12-fold division, there is always the center making the 13. The solar zodiac of 12 signs houses is completed by the sun in the center as 13. King Arthur's round table with its 12 knights is complete only with the king in the center. The 12 tribes of Israel become 13 with their patriarchal center. And Jesus with his 12 disciples becomes 13. Most significantly, the great American seal has as its dominant theme the number 13. Dr. F. Homer Curtis, in his interesting book The Key to the Universe, contemplating the form of the number 6, observes that it is made up of a line rising out of a circle. The circle would represent the universe as macrocosm or man as microcosm. Into this circle there descends the divine life. The vertical line would equally represent man's aspiration for God and his inherent desire for perfection. The number 6 is the Christ force, both in nature and in man. It is the spiritual power back of the universal urge towards perfection. Counting from the lowest or physical level, it is the number of the Buddhic plane, the level of Christ consciousness. It is also the number of man's sixth principle, the intuition, sometimes referred to as the sixth sense. We can readily associate the development of this faculty with the particular work of the sixth root race, even as it was the work of the fifth race to develop the intellectual principle. H.P. Blavatsky called the oversoul the sixth universal principle. In a previous study, we made an experiment by taking a cube, which is symbol of the personality, and unfolding it, as one would a cardboard box. Its 6 sides, unfolded, take the form of the Latin cross. This unfolding of his 6 sides reveals his Christ-like nature. Again, if one will draw lines from each of the outstretched hands to the feet, as if from the nails in the crucified Christ, he will form a triangle superimposed upon the cross, sign of spirit within the personality. The same symbol of 3/4 is seen in the Masonic apron. The 6-pointed star is a crystallized act of faith, for the upward-pointing triangle represents man's aspiration reaching upward toward his own divine source, while the downward-pointing triangle represents the downpouring of inspiration and spiritual power through his own higher vehicles. It is the sign of his present relationship with God and the assurance of his ultimate union. It is the spirit which is God coming down to touch the spirit which is man. It is also the self which is man reaching upward to touch the self which is God. A realization of the full meaning of this truth is the highest form of yoga and the consummation of all mystical experience. Yet, in a very real sense, this symbol of the 2 interlaced triangles is in itself incomplete. While it is the sign of union of man's lower self with his higher, and of his higher self with God, each of these trinities in itself alone is insufficient and incomplete. For at the center of each triad there is an invisible and unmanifest reality. Within the divine trinity there is God, who is absolute being. Within the human triad there is the divine monad. Within each triangle there is the invisible point, its heart or soul. The symbol of the double triangles finds its completion only with this invisible point as its center. Thus in man as well as in the universe, this union is complete only when the 6 becomes 7. Should we require confirmation of this truth, the following quotations from The Secret Doctrine by H.P. Blavatsky are instructive. The interlaced triangles is the perfect symbol of union or yoga, and the unmanifest or invisible point in the center becomes the 7, sacred symbol of the ever-indwelling spark or life. Volume 2, page 626. And again, the 6-pointed star refers to the 6 forces or powers of nature, the 6 planes, principles, etc., all synthesized by the 7th, or the central point in the star. In its unity, primordial light is the 7th, or highest, principle. Volume 1, page 236. If, as we have stated, the number 6 represents incompleteness and aspiration, it finds its fulfillment and its completion in the number 7. The statement, "For the Lord blessed the 7th day and hallowed it," could be said equally of the 6 planes of nature. The 6 races of humanity and the 6 principles of man all find their completion and are synthesized in the 7th. The number 7 represents the completion of a cycle of manifestation. Thus there are 7 planes of nature, 7 races, 7 worlds, 7 rounds, 7 chains. On the 7th day God rested from his labors. Of references to the number 7 as meaning completion or perfection there are many. In the Bible no other number is mentioned more often. To the renowned Pythagoras, the number 7 meant perfection, because, among other things, it has a body composed of 4 principles and a soul composed of 3. The number 7 relates to phases or cycles of physical and spiritual development. Thus man's lifespan is made up of 7 ages. To repeat again from The Secret Doctrine, Volume 2, page 625, the number 6 has been regarded in the ancient mysteries as an emblem of physical nature. For 6 is the representation of the 6 dimensions of all bodies, the 6 directions which compose their form, namely the 4 directions extending to the 4 cardinal points, and the 2 directions that answer to the zenith and the nadir. Therefore, while the synary was applied by the sages to physical man, the septenary was for them the symbol of man plus his immortal soul. From ancient times the number 7 has been held sacred. There may be stated 3 principal reasons for this. First, because it is the number of the mystery of creation of God and manifestation. Second, because it somehow governs the law of gestation. And third, because it is the number of perfection. Examples and references to substantiate this triple statement could be multiplied many times. In The Key to the Universe, quoted above, Dr. Curtis has made an exhaustive research on the number 7, its sources and meanings. The Hebrew word Sabbath, which is the 7th day, comes from the root stem sebo, which means the completion of a cycle. The 7th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is zain and implies rulership or victory. The Greek word for the letter Z is ziada and signifies life. It is the root stem of the word Zeus, Jupiter, the father of the gods, from which has sprung the many names of deity, Deus, Theos, Jesus, etc. We trace this root word back to ancient Egyptian sources. The word for their 7th letter was zenta and was interpreted as life. It may be significant that the letter Z is in form, a double and inverted 7. It is perhaps fitting that this final study of the interlaced triangles should end on the keynote represented by the number 7. For as from the 1 represented by the point came all manifestation, as represented by the 6-pointed star or the double triangles, so at the completion of the cycle does manifestation reach perfection through the 7, which is the invisible point of unity and union. The symbol of the interlaced triangles with its invisible center expresses the entire philosophy of life and manifestation. The number 7, which is the point, is the eternal silent watcher. It is God in his universe. It is God in man. It is the sign of attainment and triumph. In it is contained both the hope and the fulfillment of the integration of life and of man's ultimate union with God. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good.
Thanks for watching the Wisdom Rocker. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.